Hi guys, welcome back. Here's day 5 of our math. Okay, so some of you will be able to begin it today. Some of you may not have gotten your hard copy stuff from the school yet. So if not, don't worry about it. Just get what you can get done with the materials that you have right now. So for math today, we're going to discuss lesson 16. Okay? We may or may not get to this worksheet. It all depends on how well we do on learning how to answer the questions that they're going to be asking us on it. So today we're going to be working a lot with our fours and arrays again. Now the way that they do arrays are our circles. Okay? And this would resemble 3 times 4. Okay? And then we would just count by our fours. 4, 8, 12. Okay? So we're going to be doing a lot with arrays, and we're going to be actually breaking them down to make it so our multiplication is a lot easier down the road. Okay? So, before we begin with that, let's first review multiplying by fours, which means we'll be counting by fours. Okay? Some of you already know that answer, and some of us are still working on how to multiply by fours. So, what this problem means is we're going to count by our fours how many times? 7, right? So I'll put up one finger at a time, which we'll be counting by fours, all the way until we get up to 7 fingers up, and that will give us our answer. Okay? So let's begin. Let's change this, right? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. Okay? 7 fingers up, each of them we counted by fours. Okay? So 7 times 4 equals 28. Now we also can do it another way. This way may be a little bit more difficult, but for some of you who are really good at counting backwards, it's another way that we can review. So we know that 10 times 4 equals, remember all I do is we cross off this number and put this in front of it, right? So we cross off the 1 and we put the 4 in front of it, which would make 40. And that would be 10 times 4 are 10 fingers up, and we counted by fours. So what we do is we already have 40 up. Now, if we went backwards, we're going to have to go back 3 numbers to hit 7. Okay, because 10 take away 7 is 3. So watch what I mean by this. Now, some of you may never use this technique ever. Okay, some of you may want to practice this technique to be able to just work on counting by fours backwards. Okay, so we start with 40, then we go 36, well, sorry guys, 36, 32, 28. 7 fingers up, and we'd get the same answer as if counting up by sevens. I mean by fours, okay? So what that does is I only have to count down 3 times if I start at 10, rather than counting up by fours 7 times, okay? So it makes it a little bit less work, but now you have to try to train your mind to be able to count backwards, which may not be very easy at this moment. Okay? So let's do another way that we can count by sevens. I mean by fours, sorry again. So when we're at 7 times 4, we already know that it's bigger than 5 times 4. Okay? So if this number is higher than 5, okay, then we can just start with 4 times 5, which equals what? What's 4 times 5? All we got to do is actually count by our 5s 4 times. 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, so we got 20 when we're counting by our 4s. Now all we have to do is add 2 more 4s to get our answer of 7 times 4. Okay, So start with 5 times 4. We know that it's 20. And then we're going to add 2 times 4. We know that 2 times 4 is 8. 20 plus 8 equals 28. So instead of going through 7 sets of 4, we can just start with 5 sets of 4 right from the bat. There's our 20. And then just add 2 more 4s. 24, 28. Okay? I know it's a lot to take in right now. Some of you might go, I have no idea what you're saying, Mr. Edick. So what I will do is I will go over another example, and then we can do our own little array pictures on the board before we hit our worksheet, okay? Here is an example. Now, instead of counting by 4s 8 times, we have to put up 8 fingers, okay? Instead of doing it 8 times, what this actually is, okay, now this is where it gets a little tricky, is 2 separate problems we can put together to get us this answer. And you guys both know these 4s when I write down these 2 problems. 8 times 4, you may not know. Yeah, we can put up 8 fingers. We can count by 4s off of each of them all the way up to 8, or we can start and break it down. If we do 5 times 4, okay, that's what? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, right? 8, take away 5 is 3. So then we have to do another math problem, which would be 3 times 4. And you guys already know that one. We go over that like 100 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Now we just got to add up these 2 numbers. 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 8 times 4 equals 32. We start with the 5 times 4 because you guys can pick up your 5s. You all know your 5s. You could do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So you guys can get all the way up to 5 times 10. But by doing our 5s times 4, you get this number. Then you have a much smaller multiplication of 3 times 4, and then you just add them up. Instead of going 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Okay? Camera's up. All right? So that's why they want us to break it down into 2 multiplication problems, but they're easier multiplication problems than doing one big multiplication problem. Okay? I think it'll be easier once we start looking at the actual arrays. Okay? Now, I'm going to erase this. We're going to review our counting by 2s and 3s up to 20, and then the 3s up to 30. Okay, so first let's start with our 2s. You can look at your parents if you have your parents around. You can count them in your head. Count by 2s up to 20. I'll give you a little bit to get your answers out, and then I'll go over it and we can do it as a group. Okay? So count by 2s up to 20. Now I'll do it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay? There's our 2s. Now, do the same thing with your 3s. Some of us may still work with the whisper count. Remember, you can go 3, 6, 9, okay? Try to get up to 30. I'll give you a little bit first. All right, and this is what it should have been. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Okay? That's us counting by our threes. And then the last one, which we've been working on, is counting by our fours. You can try counting by fours up to 40 real quick while I get ready. And then say it to your parents, say it out loud, write it on a piece of paper if you would like. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit to do that. All right, this is what it should have sounded like or looked like if you did it on a piece of paper. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Okay? Twos, threes, fours. Okay? We'll continue to work on those on each of our math ones, all right? Right now we're working a lot on our fours, but we're going to still have to review our twos and our threes to make sure that we're memorizing them, okay? Remember, these help with our multiplication. When I look at these twos, if I can count by it 10 times, and they say, what's 2 times 7? I just know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 14. And if they do 2 times 9, I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 18. Same with our threes. If you can count by them and you use your hands, you can count all the way up to 30. And they say, hey, what's 3 times 6? You can put up 6 fingers. 3. Okay? Well, let me go with this one. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. You already know 3 times 6. And if I did 3 times 7, you could use your fingers, or this new technique we're learning today, you put up 7, and we can go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay? So by us, remember, counting by 2s, 3s, and 4s, it makes it a lot easier, so multiplication comes a lot quicker. We don't have to do as much thinking. It'll just come out because we'll memorize it. Okay? So, there's our 2s, our 3s, and our 4s. Now, earlier on, I explained to us that 7 times 4, I told you to do 5 times 4. We got 20, plus 2 times 4, 8, which equaled 28. It was a lot easier. Now, I'm going to break it up into an array. You guys have seen these. We have done these, and this is what the worksheet is, where they break it up into 2 problems, okay? I'm going to show you what it actually means and how it can help us when we're doing our multiplication, what the problems are actually asking, okay? Now, if the problem is 6 times 4 equals, okay? The first thing I want to do is I'm going to break this up into a 5 times 4. So, if I do 5 times 4, I'll do my array. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my 5 times 4. Now you guys already know it. That equals 20. Now, in order to find 6 times 4, all I got to do is put one more group of 4 in here. We'll do it with a different color. 1, 2, 3, 4. This problem is what? What 2 numbers did I multiply? 1 times 4. That equals How many purple ones or blue? Now add the two numbers up. 20 plus 4 equals 24. 6 times 4 equals 24. Okay? So a lot of them we're going to break up. If it's higher than 5 times 4, we're going to always start with 5 times 4. That gets us our 20. And then we're going to do 6 take away 5, and that'll get us a 1 times 4 equals 4. Now we just add them. Okay? Now I know I have some smarty pants in the class that are excellent at their multiplication. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. So some of those students in the class, you guys will just be like, all right, I already know my 4, so I can do 6 times 4, do it in my head, the answer is 24, and it's done. Same as me. But this is what we're going to do when we're trying to break it down for the students that may still be working on their multiplication facts. Okay? Let's try another one. Problem at the top is going to show 7. No, we'll do a bigger one. Yeah, no, we'll do 7 times 4 equals. I know we've already done this problem. You guys can already tell me. The answer is 28. But this is what they want us to do instead. They want us to break this down into 5 times 4. 7 take away 5 is 2. And then we will do 2 times 4. We'll get those two numbers, then we add them, and it'll actually get us the number that goes up here. Okay? So by making the array, this is what the array would look like. Make it so you can see the two. Okay? The 5 times 4 is going to be in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? We got our 5 groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And we know that that answer is 20. Now we need to find out our 2 times 4. 2 times 4, I'll put this in a different color underneath. We'll be in this maroonish color. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 times 4 equals, count up these red ones, 8. We did our 5 times 4, we got 20. We did our 2 times 4, we got 8. 20 plus 8 is 28. Okay, fill it in, 28, 20 plus, added them all up. Okay, now, we also did, we're showing you going backwards, right? This one may be a little bit more difficult to do, okay? So, I'll show you what it would look like, and then you guys can decide whether you want to go up or down with them, okay? Let's see. So for us, some of you we've looked at array tables, which are like these. Okay, You give us one big sheet. That's 10 times 4. If you were to count up all those, you would get 40. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Okay? So if they gave us 8 times 4, okay? What they're actually asking is if this was a piece of paper, I would fold it and it would take off 2 groups of 8 because this shows us 10 times 4. We only want 8 times 4, so 2 groups of 4 we can take. This is a piece of paper I would take like this, and I would just fold off the bottom. So then this is only showing 8 times 4. So in this case, I will just erase it. 2 rows. Okay? Erase 2 rows. Now, the problems are going to break it down like this. They're going to probably show us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will take a line like this. Okay? These ones will be shaded in. Okay? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4 equals. What's 5 times 4? 20. Then they'll put one down here. What are we multiplying? Count our rows first. 3 times, then count our columns. And 3 times 4 equals 12. Now all we got to do is add these. And they'll say 20 plus 12 equals 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 8 times 4 equals 32. All right? So these are breaking down these math problems to make it so we get 2 separate, easier math problems to equal this one more difficult math problem. Okay? And they also write things like we have 8 4s. That means 8 times 4. And if we were to break it down into 2 different math problems that added up, we would do 5 4s, 5 plus what equals 8? 5 plus 3 4s. Okay? So 5 4s plus 3 4s would equal 8 4s. 8 4s mean 8 groups of 4. We know that 5 4s equal 20. We know that 3 4s equal 12. When we add them up, we get 8 4s, which is 32. Now, I know that's a lot for you guys, for some of you. If you need to rewind it and go back and look at where I began, you're more than welcome to. You could review some of this, okay? If you're starting to feel like, oh wait, now I understand what he's trying to say, then continue with this video. We'll start our worksheet as a group, okay? And then again, you can ask me any questions. I use Class Dojo. You can do comments on the YouTube video. Your parents also have other ways to get a hold of me, okay? Let us get Lesson 16 problem set. So it's going to be difficult for you guys to see these if I write on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same entire problem. I will tell you what ones you have to fill in. Okay? Some of the answers they're going to already give you on these sheets, and then other ones they will not. So I will tell you what ones you have to fill in from what I write up here. Okay? Just give me a little bit while I write up our circles. Okay, first one says, label the array, then fill in the blanks below to make the true number sentences. Okay, so it says A, 6 times 4 equals. Now I know some of you already know that answer. You could fill it in right now. We've already went over 6 times 4. But we can fill it in at the end as well. I will write it out. They did. I'm going to use purple for the shaded parts. I'll use red for the unshaded part. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? They got them like that. They shaded them. They wrote right next to it 5 times 4 equals 20. They already filled that in for us. Now, they added one more group, and it went like this. Okay? And they wrote 1 times 4 equals. Okay? Now, what is 1 times 4? Count the circles, or just count by 4s once. 4, anything times 1 is the other number. So you're filling in this part, you're writing on 4 on your worksheet. Right there, okay? Write 4. Now, we go to the bottom part. It says 6 times 4 equals 5 times 4 plus 1 times 4. They already gave us the 20. Okay, we see it over here. They already filled it in. Now, we did 1 times 4, which equals 4. Okay, they wrote all that in, so don't write anything else. Then underneath they wrote equals 20 plus, what did we add it? 1 times 4 is 4. And then the bottom says equals 24. We added up those two numbers. Okay, you're filling in this as well. Write that. So it should go 4 on this line, 4 on this line, 24 on this line, and then up here, we go back to the beginning problem. 6 times 4 equals 24. Okay? So I think what I can do to make it a little bit easier too, guys, if you see blue, that means it's things that you need to write in your book. Okay? Got it? We're going to do letter B now over here, 7 times 4. So, letter B, 7 times 4. They already did their array, so I'm going to just write what they did. Okay, they wrote it like that. Then they wrote 5 times 4 equals. And then underneath, they wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they do the dotted line, they did. Okay, and they wrote 2 times 4 equals. Okay, so we'll go back. Let's fill in our first answer. We all know 5 times 4 equals, it's going to keep going. 5 times 4 equals 20. Bring out the blue, so make sure you're writing it in the boxes. Okay? Then 2 times 4 equals, okay? Then underneath, they showed us the problem. They say 7 times 4 equals 5 times 4 plus 2 times 4. They put an equals? Nope, no equals. Okay? Then underneath, they said equals, what's 5 times 4? 20. They already put the plus sign in. So remember, you're filling in the 20 on that next line underneath. Plus, what's 2 times 4? I have the answer. 8. And then underneath, it says, it actually gives us the answer. Equals 28. So then up at the top, we'll go back to the first beginning of the problem. It said 7 times 4 equals 20 plus 8 equals 28. Okay? Remember, see this color? This is to fill in today. All right? I'll fill in all the answers. If you see this color, it means that you have to write something in. Okay? Let's do letter C. Letter C is the one over here. 8 times 4. A magic marker, so let's do this. 8 times 4 equals. Now let me do my array. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's our 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and they had wrote 5 times 4 equals. And then they did their line, their dotted one. Okay, and then they did 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's how their array, and they wrote blank times 4 equals blank. So now they're asking us for a little bit more information. Now remember, the first number in the multiplication problem is the amount of rows. Okay, so we'll start with the one we already know. 5 times 4 equals what? Then keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. 20. Now, they want to know, what are we multiplying by 4 down here? Remember, the first number here is the amount of rows. 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many rows do we have in this one? 3. This color, so you got to write it in. 3 times 4. And some of you already know it. What's 3 times 4? 4, 8, 12. Okay? So you should have a 20 on this line. You should have a 3 and a 12 that you would have written on this line. Now, underneath, I don't really have a lot of room. So what I'm going to do, guys, is difficult. No, I'll try to fit it in. So you see underneath, it says 8 times 4 equals 5 times 4 plus blank times 4. Okay? Our 5 times 4 is showing this problem. What did we multiply by 4 in the second set? In the unshaded ones? 3, right? So write in 3 in this line down here. Okay? Then underneath it says equals blank plus blank. What two numbers do we add? We added our 5 times 4, which is 20. And then the answer to the unshaded part was 12. Found 20 and 12, and now I'm going to try sneaking it in, and then at the bottom, it says equals, and 20 plus 12 is 32. And then you'll write 32 on the bottom one. Then we go back up to the top. 8 times 4 equals 32. Okay? You guys follow along? This is all they're doing. The reason we're getting 8 is we're doing this 5 and 3 is 8. And then we're just multiplying it by 4 because they're both got 4 columns. They have the same amount of columns. Okay? So they're breaking it down so it makes it easier. If you can do your 5s, which I know all of you guys can do your 5s, you'll get the answer. Then whatever's left over, it'll be 5 or below times 4. Then you just add those two numbers together, you'll get the answer, rather than counting by 4s 8 times. We're going to do letter D. While I'm writing this up, you guys are more than welcome to try and do it. I think you could probably do some of them on your own. You're more than welcome to try as I'm getting these letters to get the array together, okay? So, letter D. Nine times 4 equals. And then they did. Okay. And underneath that they did. Okay. And then they gave us 5 times 4 equals. And underneath here was blank times blank times 4 equals. Okay? And then underneath all of that, they wrote 9 times 4 equals. Okay? And then equals blank plus blank, and then equals blank. Okay? So I filled in everything. Now we're going to fill in only the answers. You may have been able to do this all on your own. It'd be awesome if you guys could check what I write down and see if you guys got the same exact answers. Okay? So let's start with our 5 times 4. We've only went over 100 times, right? So it's going to be the same answer. It's going to keep being the same answer. 5 times 4 equals what? 20. Okay? Write that in. Now, this first number is the amount of rows. How many rows did we have? 4. And we did. 4 times 4 equals. And what's 4 times 4? Anyone know? We can count by our 4s 4 times. 4, 8, 12, 16. Or you guys could have actually counted up these if you're still working on how to count by 4s. Okay? So this answer is 16. Okay? Now, we already saw the answer is 4 times 4, so this one says 9 times 4 equals 5 times 4 plus what times 4? Okay, write down the 4. This one's asking the answers for each of these two problems. What's 5 times 4? What's 4 times 4? Now we have to add them up. You don't have to write this, but I'll show you how they would do it. They would do 20 plus 16. 6 plus 0 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. So the bottom number is 36. And the answer at the top, 9 times 4 equals 36. Okay? You guys just did a lot of work. I know that it may have been a little difficult at times, but I have a lot of confidence that you guys probably picked up on how we're doing this. Okay? Tomorrow, so I'll give you a little break. It's Friday. Tomorrow, we're going to do this page and possibly another page. Okay? But you guys are doing an excellent job. It may be Friday for you who got their work on this past Monday and started it. Okay? So if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you do this, I'm giving it a little bit easier for you. Okay? Because it was a lot of information you guys learned. A lot of this stuff is new to some of you, or to all of you, the way that they break it down. Okay? But if you really think about it, it makes it a lot easier to be able to do the multiplication problems. Okay? Rather than trying to do counting by 4s 9 times. Okay? All right. You guys did an excellent job. Again, any questions, you can always get a hold of me. Have a good day, guys.